The China Report for Thursday, March 28, 2013. Jihad, in China. China has sentenced 20 men to jail terms of up to life imprisonment on charges of terrorism and inciting secession in Xinjiang. Some of the men, who are all thought to be members of the ethnic Uyghur group who live in the region, were accused of plotting to assassinate local police. It said the men had been persecuted for listening to foreign radio broadcasts and forwarding video clips. The men were convicted of a number of crimes, the local state-run news agency reported. These include circulating extremist religious material and attempting to promote ethnic separatism on the internet. Chinese leader tells elite to forgo luxury. Life for the almighty Chinese government official has come to this. Carpools, domestically made watches and self-serve lunch buffets. In the 4 months since he became president, Xi Jinping has imposed a form of austerity on the nation's famously free-spending civil servants, military brass and provincial party bosses. Warning that graft and gluttony are a threat to the ruling communists, Xi Jinping has called a halt to boozy, taxpayer-financed banquets and the bribery that often takes the form of a gift-wrapped luxury bag. While the power of the nation's elite remains unchallenged, the symbols of that power are slipping from view. But does anyone really think the Chinese elite will stop bribes, payoffs and irresponsible behavior? Not likely. China engineers babies for intelligence. China is not content with Shanghai having the world's highest educational scores on the planet. They are moving into a new turning point in evolution in trying to create smarter people. The US on the other hand is behind the curve, indeed not really even recognizing that intelligence is not 100% a result of your environment but is largely inherited. Besides, Americans no longer admire intelligence unless you make $1 billion designing a new app. No, their heroes are gangster rappers, politicians, entertainers, and reality television personalities. BGI Shenzhen is the biggest genetic research center in China, and the biggest in the world, by a considerable margin. They're not just doing human genetics. BGI is also doing lots of plant genetics, animal genetics, anything that's economically relevant or scientifically interesting. In an era of one-child policy in China, parents are increasingly looking to genetic research to custom-tailor their offspring. Sounds a bit like German genetic research of the early 20th century? We are not far off from a return to those times. In China, playing God is big business. If U.S. wages rose as fast as China's, factories would now pay $50 an hour. U.S. research on Chinese manufacturing shows hourly wages going from the equivalent of 62 cents an hour in 2003 to $1.36 an hour in 2008. Today's story cites more recent numbers from a Japanese survey that put the average base monthly wage in Guangzhou at $352 a month and $317 in Shenzhen. That Guangzhou wage is the equivalent of $2.20 an hour for a 160-hour month. There are many sources for numbers on China's wages, not all of which agree precisely. China's National Bureau of Statistics shows somewhat smaller increases. Even if all the numbers aren't exactly comparable, the pattern is extraordinary. In less than a decade, wages have probably more than tripled. With factory workers expecting raises, workers' pay is likely to rise still further. Try to imagine something similar in a developed economy such as the United States, where factory wages have remained flat, and you start to see the level of social change involved. Try to visualize that. Some numbers will help. In January 2003, the average U.S. manufacturing industry wage was $15.61 an hour. So imagine that instead of going up to $19.28 an hour just short of keeping up with inflation. $15.61 would be $19.78 in just current dollars, they had gone up to $46.23. But the reality is wages in the West are not even coming close to covering the rise in real inflation. However, in China they are almost keeping pace with inflation, so cost of living adjustments are not as severe. That's the China Report for today. Zaijian.